Welcome back, you guys. There will be no God in my game, only boxes. The problem with my game right now is you can't really connect the boxes, right? The next step is to make it so you can connect boxes together because that's where the interesting decision comes from. How do I build the ship to accomplish what I want it to accomplish? As I was implementing this thing, I realized I was kind of storing two separate pieces of information for the player in the different boxes. The player was its own struct, and then the boxes was down here, right? I was looking at this and I was changing it to make it so you can link together multiple boxes, right? And push them around and have a damage system. And then I realized there doesn't need to be a player in this game. Aurora and other survival games, you're almost entirely focused on one player in the center of the screen, right? You're an entity in the world, like a physical entity. What I'm going to try out for the prototype of this game is you, the player, will not exist in the world. You will just be a dot, right? Just some kind of dot to show that your like awareness is there, right? And then as the dot moves further away, right, from just where it started, it kind of runs out of steam and then you die, right? So by default, as this dot, right, this is basically the player, this little dot. Without like a host to take over, you peter out and die. There's no collision with anything in this mode. You're just moving around at a constant velocity. The idea is you can press a key when you're in this mode to take possession of grid, right? For example, pretend that my cursor right here on the screen is you, the player, right? So you would move around at first, right? You would slowly fade out, and then you would die like here, let's say, right? Then you would fade out and fade back in, and then you're back here. The way that you win is you make a beeline for the closest available grid, and right when you're on top of it, you take it over, right? So now this entire thing is like you. And when this thing gets hurt, it's like that's when you're in trouble, right? Instead of a player health, there's just the health of the ship you're embodying. This could mean that like this entire ship, when it's being piloted by your friend or you, is just one entity. Like there's no pilot seat or player. It's like you become the ship. It's like taking it over. And then maybe you press a hotkey again, and then you get depossessed, right? You like come out of the ship, maybe you're where its center of mass is, and then you're back to this dot that needs to find a home, or else it's gonna die. I'm imagining instead of like having a player character and that's how you move around, you'd build these little tiny, super simple ships that you quickly take over. Maybe they don't have that much fuel or something like that. I'm still not sure if fuel and energy is going to work in this game. I kind of suspect that the best thing to do is to merge matter and energy into one unit, just like the same juice I talked about in yesterday's video, if you watched that video. But I digress. I would imagine like you quickly build this little like this little super basic ship without a lot of structure in it so that you can just quickly take it over and move around, right? And explore more of the planet that you're on. I think the reason why this idea is really interesting to me is because imagine you're trying to kill your friend, right? If you want to kill this awareness thing, right? Basically what you got to do is destroy all the materials it could possibly embody, or at least get rid of its mobility, its thrusters, while you grind down the rest of it, right? Because then once you have nowhere to go, you have a limited amount of movement, and you peter out and die, right? What if you wanted to like send out a little spy drone and you didn't want to die, right? You could throw your like dotted awareness like with the radio waves, right? I know this sounds really kooky, but I think it would be really fun in a game, right? Imagine like being able to take control of a separate spacecraft and not needing to worry about dying because it's just like a projection of you, right? Like once there's no more thing to embody, you just flip back to this screen, or like you can choose to go into this and take control of this remotely piloted drone, or you can go back to like where you were, right? And then maybe there's some restrictions like the antenna has to be facing where the drone is, and then you can get some interesting stuff going there where you need to figure out how to like aim the antenna where the drone is. I'm really excited to explore that stuff with the game design. Let's talk milestones. On Friday, I want to finish the majority of what I just described to you. Then on Saturday, I'm going to have some more netcode improvements and then the matter block creation system, right? By the end of Saturday, it should be mostly fleshed out. On Sunday, finally, I'll add the thruster block type, which will actually add some strategy to how you construct these ships, and then a little bit more of a varied world. And then we're going to try and do a playtest and get some video from that. Of course, this is very tentative. I'm not sure if the netcode improvements will be hard or easy. This is not really an improvement. It's more of a fix to make it so it actually works on machines that aren't on my local machine, right? Like I need to actually implement the like when you lag, it just works basically. I need to implement that. Yeah, then Sunday, blocks. Now this is going to be early access. This game will be like 2% done by the time I ship that on Sunday. But it still should be pretty fun nonetheless. It's kind of fun to just mess around with physics, especially with other people. Don't forget to like and subscribe.